You just sent a completely normal text, and now you are staring at the screen, rereading your own message for the fourth time, analyzing your punctuation. Did that period make you sound cold? Should there have been an exclamation point? And when they reply with a single letter, just K, your brain immediately opens a full investigation. What did they mean by that? Are they mad? Was it something you said 3 sentences ago? Meanwhile, a conversation you had in 2019 is quietly queued up and ready to replay the second your head hits the pillow tonight. If any of this feels uncomfortably familiar, then this video is about you, because you are an overthinker, and the truth about people like you is far more flattering than you have ever been led to believe. Let me explain. Let me start by taking apart the label you have probably been beating yourself with. You have been told, maybe your whole life, that you overthink, that you need to relax, stop reading into things, get out of your own head. And somewhere along the way you started to believe it meant something was wrong with you, that you are anxious, high maintenance, exhausting, or just broken in some quiet way. I want to gently take that off the table right now because the research tells a very different story. That same restless, tireless mind that will not let a small comment go is not a defect. It is almost always attached to a specific and genuinely valuable set of traits, and once you see what is actually going on up there, you might stop apologizing for it. So let's walk through what people who overthink everything actually have in common and why it is not the flaw you think it is. The first thing is that you overthink because you feel and notice more than most people do. Overthinking almost never comes from a cold, detached mind. It comes from a mind that cares intensely and notices everything. You replay the conversation because you actually cared how the other person felt. You analyze the text because the relationship genuinely matters to you. You caught the tiny shift in someone's tone that everyone else in the room completely missed, and now your brain will not put it down. That is not paranoia. That is a high-resolution emotional radar, picking up signals other people are simply not sensitive enough to detect. The exhaustion you feel is the cost of running that radar all the time. But make no mistake, it is a gift disguised as a burden. The people who overthink are very often the most empathetic, most attuned, most thoughtful people in the room. They are the ones who text to check in for no reason, who catch the friend who is quietly struggling, who put real thought into a gift instead of grabbing the first thing on the shelf. That level of consideration is not free. It is powered by a brain that never stops running the question, what is it like to be them right now? And that same relentless question is exactly what makes you feel so much, so often, so deeply. You are not reading too much into things. You are reading everything because you are wired to. I know this one from the inside, honestly. I have drafted a 2-line text, deleted it, rewritten it, read it aloud to myself to check the tone, and then sat there agonizing over whether the thumbs up or the actual words would come across as warmer, all for a message that took the other person about 4 seconds to read and forget. For years, I thought that made me neurotic. Now I understand it just means I would rather get it right than get it over with, because how the other person feels genuinely matters to me. That is not a bug, that is caring, expressed in the only language my brain seems to know. And here is a detail that will probably surprise you, and this is genuinely why I make this channel. So a quick thing, if you like having your own mind explained kindly for once, take 1 second and subscribe. Okay, because in 2015, a researcher named Alexander Penny led a study that found something wonderful. People who reported more worrying and more rumination actually scored higher on measures of verbal intelligence. Read that again. The tendency to chew endlessly on words, problems, and conversations was linked to a more capable verbal mind, not a weaker one. Your overthinking is, in part, a powerful brain that is simply too good at processing language and possibility to ever fully switch off, which brings us to the second trait. The second thing is that your brain is running an incredibly powerful prediction engine, and it never stops simulating. Everyone's brain tries to predict the future to stay prepared. Yours just does it at maximum volume all the time. Before a hard conversation, you do not run through it once. You run through it 11 times, every possible version, every way it could go wrong, every response and counter-response. Your mind is like a security guard who never once clocks out, endlessly walking the halls, checking every door, certain that if it just stays alert enough, it can prevent anything bad from ever happening. And there is a real logic to it. Deep down, your brain has decided that if it can just think hard enough, long enough about every possible outcome, it can keep you and the people you love safe from pain. Overthinking is, at its heart, an act of protection. It is your mind trying to love you by never letting its guard down. You can feel how protective it really is by noticing when it fires hardest. It goes into overdrive right before the things you care about most, the important conversation, the big decision, the message to the one person whose opinion you cannot stand to lose. Your brain does not waste all of this energy on things that do not matter to you. The intensity of your overthinking is basically a map of what you love. It only guards the doors that lead to the people and the outcomes you are most afraid of losing. The problem, of course, and here is the warning, is that the guard is running 24 hours a day, and most of the doors it is frantically checking are not real. The vast majority of the disasters you rehearse never happen. You pay the full emotional price of 100 imagined catastrophes to prevent the one or two that might actually occur, and that is an exhausting, lopsided deal. Which is exactly why the same trait that protects you can also quietly wear you down, and it points us to the third thing. The third thing is the cost, and it is real, so let's be honest about it. For all its gifts, overthinking has a genuine downside, and pretending otherwise would be dishonest. It can tip into rumination, where you are not solving anything, just running the same painful loop over and over. The way your brain ambushes you with an old embarrassing memory at 3 in the morning, something we have talked about on this channel before. It can cause analysis paralysis, where you see so many angles and possibilities that you freeze and cannot make even a simple decision. And it can quietly steal the present moment, because you are so busy replaying the past or rehearsing the future that you are rarely fully here, in the only place life is actually happening. So this is not about pretending your overthinking is purely a superpower with no cost. It has a cost. The goal is to keep the gift and turn down the price. The fourth thing, and the part I really want you to keep, is that the exact same wiring that exhausts you is what makes you extraordinary at the things that matter most. Think about what these traits actually add up to. A mind that notices everything, feels deeply, cares intensely, considers every angle, and refuses to settle for the easy surface answer. Turned inward at 2 a.m., that mind torments you. But turned outward at a problem, a piece of art, a person who needs to be understood, that exact same mind is a gift. Overthinkers are often the deep thinkers, the careful problem solvers, the ones who catch the flaw everyone else missed, the creative ones who connect ideas nobody else would, and above all, the friends who actually understand you, because they took the time to really think about who you are. The world is not run by people who never think twice. It is quietly held together by the people who cannot stop thinking, who care too much to phone it in. Your overthinking and your thoughtfulness are not two separate things. They are the same thing, pointed in different directions. Think of the person in your own life who always seems to just get you, who remembers the small thing you mentioned once in passing, who notices when you are a little off before you have even said a word. There's a very good chance that person is a quiet overthinker, running that same tireless machine, except pointed outward at you with care. The trait you are exhausted by is the exact reason people feel so deeply understood around you. You are not too much. You are, for the people lucky enough to have you, precisely enough. So let's bring it home with what to actually do. Because the answer is not to stop thinking. That is impossible, and honestly, you would not want to lose what comes with it. The goal is to aim the engine instead of letting it run wild. First, learn to tell the difference between productive thinking, which moves toward a decision or a solution, and rumination, which just loops. The moment you notice you are looping, that you have circled the same thought 5 times with no new information, name it, and gently break the loop by physically doing something else. Second, when the anxious guard starts checking imaginary doors, ask yourself one honest question: is this a problem I can act on right now, yes or no? If yes, take one small action. If no, that is your signal to consciously set it down, because more thinking will not help. A surprising amount of overthinking is really just your brain trying to solve, by thinking, a problem that can only be solved by doing, or by simply accepting. Naming which of those two you are actually facing takes most of the loop's power away in a single move. And third, be kind to yourself about it, the way you would be to a friend, because that guard has been working overtime for years, trying in its clumsy way to keep you safe. And here is the last thing, the part I most want to leave you with. The next time someone tells you that you think too much, you do not have to absorb it as an insult anymore. You can quietly know the truth, that your busy, restless, tireless mind is the same one that makes you perceptive and empathetic and creative and deeply, genuinely caring. You were never broken. You were just paying attention, more attention than most people are capable of. The trick was never to become someone who thinks less. It was to finally understand that the person who thinks that much is someone worth being. So tell me down in the comments, because I already know a lot of you are nodding right now. What is the thing your brain will absolutely not stop overthinking? The text, the conversation, the decision, the moment from years ago. Name it below, and let's all feel a little less alone in our beautifully overactive heads. And if you want to understand the most infamous thing your overthinking brain does to you, go watch the one on why it replays your most embarrassing memories at exactly 3 in the morning, because that is your guard, still checking a door that closed a long time ago. I'll see you over there, probably overthinking it.